Born in Germany and now based in Wapping, East London, Annette Holzwarth has a uniquely spiritual approach to art. Central to her work is the use of crystals, blessed by a shaman, which play a dual role of being used as an application medium and being included in the finished works. This gives them a unique aura during the changing light densities throughout the course of the day. Stylistically, Annette's work very much sits within the school of abstract expressionism, but it has been said that she brings a uniquely spiritual dimension to her work, and this really emphasised in every painting that she does. So Annette, what was your inspiration to become an artist?
Well, I felt different kind of from the early years, so I always loved to paint, and I was very much interacting with other people, but I loved time on my own, and this is kind of where the muse or where it came through. So, and my first I don't know, when somebody asked me when I was 2 or 3, what do you want to become? I said I want to become a china painter, because an aunt of mine, she painted china, you know, china plates, and so this was, and you didn't know about big painters when you were 2 or so, you know, so, but it developed from there, I think, yeah.
So what were the first galleries that you went to? Were they in Germany?
Yes, I'm born in Stuttgart, and Stuttgart has a very good collection, and you know, the State Gallery by James Sterling, and and I have a huge Otto Dix collection, and yeah, but then I came to London very early, and Paris I was in the National Gallery, and so I saw a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Where did you study?
I always knew how I could paint, so I thought, why should I go to the art academy? I wanted to train the mind first, so I opted for studying philosophy, literature and theater studies. I did that in Munich, and then because the Academy of Arts was very close by, so Helmut Sturm, and who is a big painter. They were much older, but they were kind of in my circle of friends, and so it was kind of a parallel, you know. So, yeah.
Why did abstract expressionism particularly speak to you?
Coming from philosophy, you know, or from Wittgenstein, I stopped doing it. That's why I didn't do a PhD. I only got a master in philosophy. Is the unseen. I always wanted to express the unseen, and this is why or show the unseen. And the language is obviously, as we all know, limited, and that's what drove me to. And what you see, or what I see in my meditation, is the stuff you see here on my paintings.
And would you say that Hinduism and Buddhism are closest to your heart, then?
Yeah, I think so, because my also yoga is a system, but it derives from Hinduism, and also if you go back, but this is probably lead too far, to Western philosophy like Schopenhauer, and so it's all based on the Hinduistic, on the big philosophy there. Yeah.
How did you discover crystals?
A very close friend of mine, when I moved to England first for private reasons 20 years ago, one of my closest friends is a healer and a shaman, and she also worked with crystals, but I was not so, but she said you should wear this necklace, and I try things. I don't need, being an intellectual, I don't need to intellectualize everything, so I just tried, and I said, oh, it helped, you know. So, and then I got more and more, and then also when I used to travel a lot, so I always had to take some crystal powder with me just to get rid of the energies in hotel rooms, and so, because if you are very sensitive to energies and open up and you meditate a lot, and then it came, and then when I went and then as just automatically, it was almost an inner voice, I started to integrating them into my paintings. But I always used crystal oil as well, because we put also a lot of crystal oil on our body or on our feet, and I was looking after my parents when they were poorly, and then I had this oil, and then I mixed I just didn't know, because I don't like to I like wine pure and I like champagne pure, and I like to mix it, and I didn't like to mix the paint, but I put in the crystal oil, so that was the first thing. Yeah.
So Annette, what would you say is particularly unique about paintings that incorporate these crystals?
It adds another dimension to it, and so it's, as you said, it's unique, and the special thing, and you cannot buy them anywhere because they are hand sourced and hand crushed for me by monks in while reciting mantras, and you just have this effect, and then they also change, because as you see, I'm in this, when the painting is finished, I have the feeling it changes, it works, it marinates after 2 or 3 days, and then you add all these depths, and it has I detach from them. Then sometimes, oh, I painted that, I can't, I can't, and then they put you automatically in an effortless state of meditation. And this is also what I think art should be. Art should be uplifting. Otherwise, it's of course it's also important that we have a political art, but for living with art, and you should always, as we all know, especially now after the lockdown experience, it's important not only with whom you live, but with what surrounds you, and I always believe everything should lift the vibrations, so everything you put into your body should be uplifting you or helping, and this is why these paintings, I think they are.
So when you've actually created an artwork, do you actually feel sort of distanced from it?
Yeah, I think this is also, it's also in the writing. I think as soon as the work is done, I feel it's detached. It's also, it's like Foucault said about writing texts. The author is dead after the text is finished. I think every work should speak for itself. Also, of course, sometimes it's interesting with the having some details or so, but the work should speak for itself.
So, where has your work been sold and exhibited so far?
I had my first solo show in Berlin, and then private buyers, and then I had 2 solo shows in London so far, one in Mount Street, where I was quite proud of, and it attracted some Austrian collectors, and then we did in my house in Notting Hill, where I had a house and a studio, with some actually film directors. So I'm quite in a collection of 2 film directors. Yeah.
Which works will be sold? Is it these ones?
Yes. So the curator from Beata from Gabriel Fine Arts, she opted for a series which was never actually shown. It's done with Herkimer diamonds. It's called New Geary after the eclipses. There was a time, it was done 2 years ago, was an eclipse phase, and I did the paintings in there. And then New Geary is kind of, when you meditate a lot and you have headache, and so that's also, and new things that are also, when you learn a new language, that new stuff is forming in your head, new gateways or new Gearies. That's how I call the series, and I used Herkimer diamonds.
So are you a very prolific artist? You do lots of artworks?
Yeah, I mean, this is my passion, so I think I'm also a real Leo. I can sit in the sun all day or here looking at the river, but this is part of the work, People think, you are doing nothing, but I always loved yogis from early age, or the hippies in Ibiza, where I spent my childhood. They always seem to be doing nothing, but they're just looking at the world, and being content in them with themselves, So this is, and I do when I have, and as I said, mostly I'm in a good mood. I only paint when I'm really in a high state. This is why. So I have to prepare, not to go out too much, not to just get my vibration as high as possible, and then start painting, and then lots come out. And during lockdown, it was actually quite good. I did lots of work during lockdown.
How do you see your work evolving in the future?
I have 2 or 3 big things in mind which I want to do for the sculpture, because I also come from installation, but this needs to be done in a very big gallery, and also bigger paintings, because that is really large formats, large formats, bigger than you can see here. I've done a few, and they are really it's just, it can even express more. So going in installation and doing but it depends on the space, So I have 2 or 3 spaces in mind where I want to, but I don't know if it's it's probably too an early stage to say it. Yeah.
Yes, it'll be very exciting, certainly, if it takes place.
Yeah. Yes. When it takes place, not if.
Well, Annette, thank you very much indeed for your comments today. It's been very insightful. I think there's no doubt that Annette Holzwarth is one of the greatest living exponents of abstract expressionism, and what she's doing here is very, very unique because of its spiritual dimension. I believe that all art connoisseurs and buyers indeed have a lot to gain from actually admiring, enjoying, immersing themselves in her artwork, and also it's going to be very, very interesting to see the way that her work develops in the future.